It's 19th of September 25, and I'm just having a laugh at the left. Um, because yesterday Zara Sultana said your party now has membership stuff and you can sign up, and then half an hour later, Jeremy Corbyn and the other five issued a letter saying, no, we aren't ready. This is unauthorised. We're taking legal action or whatever. Um, yeah, so they're totally split between Zara versus the rest, and it is ironic because she's called them a sexist boys club. By that, does she mean Jeremy and the other five? You know, is she including Jeremy in that? I guess she is. Really, she didn't disinclude him. So it is ironic because Jeremy Zara fits his ideal voter, I suppose. But unfortunately for him, she's got her own ideas, and yeah, so it's a good laugh. I mean, personally, I don't believe in parties. I believe we should be like Switzerland, where you can vote on issues. And this is just, I think this is showing an example of it. This time on the left. The left is far more split, in my opinion. I mean the active left, the ones that take interest, because they just argue with each other far more than the right, I would say, just in general. I suppose on the right, we've got one unifying single issue. And when I say we, I mean because of that single issue. I mean, in general, I would say if you put all my issues together, you would think I'm on the left. You know, I think, what's that word? Basic income, it has an idea. I don't think it would work now because of the way Britain's changed. But if Britain hadn't changed, I think it would have been interesting because Reform Party are always talking about risk takers. I mean, that could have made the poor be risk takers, but that can't be done now. So I think Reform, they see it more like they want their pals to be the risk takers and not do too badly if it fails, the thing fails, and others have to work for those risk takers. That's the sort of way they're thinking, you know. They're not thinking they want the poor to become risk takers and get themselves out, you know, like you can on YouTube and stuff nowadays, anyway. But yeah, so basic income, also solar power. I think nowadays we should all have virtual power plants in our own homes. We should have solar power and batteries, whether that's Elon Musk's power battery, whatever. So those sort of things people will say, oh, he's left. But then if you talk about the big issue, the only issue that really matters that we should only be voting on, especially the more, I would say, the more you worry about women's rights, etc., you should be voting as right as possible. So, yeah, and there's nobody really on the left to vote for that. But I don't believe in parties, like I say, it should be issues. So, yeah, I think in Denmark, the Labour Party under Neil Kinnock's wife, I don't know if she was in charge at the time, they had done a U-turn on their policy on this issue. Basically, a total U-turn, because they were about to lose to a new party of the right. But then because they've done a total change, they're still in power today, I think. Although they lost that election, and I think afterwards, whoever was the leader at the time said, I think changing Denmark is very important, you know. So saying the opposite of what she's actually done as a leader, because she didn't really want to, it was the way the Danish were voting. I don't know if that's correct or not, actually, so anyway, on to this. Yeah, it's Zara versus the Sexist Boys Club. Today she's been on the Canary YouTube video site, and I would say if you're interested in for the far left to see what they're up to, you want to watch things like the Crispin Flintoff show, and Canary and Squawk Box. I would say those are the three that I think is the real ones. You've also got the ones that are a bit, I don't know, I'm not so keen on, like, well, I say keen on, I feel if I was a far left, I would think them a bit too soft to, like Navarra Media, maybe Owen Jones, yeah, Owen Jones as well, apart from on Palestine maybe. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking at. So today, Zara was on the Canary show on YouTube, and she was saying, in politics we argue all the time, which is fair enough, I think that's correct, yeah. But I don't think the other see it that way, because this is like the third time I've heard her say something about them. First of all, she announced this to Your Party were live or whatever, and Jeremy said, well, we weren't going to do it this way, but okay, we're live. So it sounds as if she was fed up waiting on Jeremy, and I'm not surprised, to be honest. Like, everyone's been waiting for Jeremy to start a sort of far left party since he got kicked out of Labour. Even when he was a Labour leader, he didn't get rid of all these ones that are in power just now, and they are done the dirty on him, including Keir Starmer, who said he was his friend at the time. Who says he's not a friend, etc. You know, I mean, Keir Starmer's the worst ever for everyone, the far left, the Labour MPs, his speechwriters. He's the worst for everyone, you know, and all the public as well. At the moment, there are 16% in the Find Out Now poll, which is the lowest I've ever been, I think, in a modern poll. And I'm not surprised. I'm surprised it's 16%. It looks as if it's just London that's holding up, but that's going to go as well, because there's 3 councils in Newham that have all, over the last year, have went to the Newham Independents, who all seem to be able to speak a second language from a certain country far away, and it looks like what was predicted by the right may be coming correct, you know, whereas female Labour MPs were always there to call you the R word if you thought that was going to happen. But last night another one went, so that's 3. These are all former Labour areas, very demographically very changed, especially in one particular type. And also in East London we've got the Aspire Party as well, which is a very positive Anglo word. I think 23 councillors they've got. I think if they were councillors before, they all used to be Labour. The mayor there used to be Labour. He get banned from Labour. Yeah, so on to this as well. Yeah, I was just reading that Canary thing, and some fans of the left, far left, the critics were saying they worry because 2 of the Jeremy's side, so it's Jeremy and the other 5 who all speak a second language, probably the same language, I don't know. Fans worry that 2 of them are landlords, you know, and I think all 5 of them voted against putting VAT on private schools, and Mothin Ali, who won the Deputy Green thingy recently, the night before the vote was going to be announced, so all the voting had been done by then, one of these 5 said something like, we're a bit social conservative on this, I think it was trans thing, and Mothin Ali agreed with that. He done a reply that he agreed. That was the night before the count was done, and Mothin was in deputy leader of the Greens. Members had voted him in. This fan was saying he's worried that 2 are landlords, and he doesn't think there's room for socially conservatives. You know, we don't know how socially conservative they are because they haven't really said much. The other 5 don't really say much, you know, it just seems to be Jeremy. I mean, if you take Jeremy out of it, then you've got the other 5, that's your party, and plus Zara, although she looks like she's going to get kicked out or going to leave. That would be your 6, apart from Jeremy, and they're the answer for Britain, etc. And even the name Your Party, I mean, it was Jeremy that came up with that idea, Your Party. He still wants that, but Zara said she wants it to be called the Left Party. Apparently the 3 names that they're interested in is Your Party, the Left Party, and People's Party. Zara wants the Left Party, Jeremy wants Your Party. Personally, I would go with Your Party, but I don't know really. I'm not really bothered anyway, because I think it's going to implode anyway. So, yeah, and I suppose Jeremy's ideal poster person for the party would be Zara on mute. Maybe just posters of her, you know, pictures, not video, maybe. Yeah, and I'm just thinking to myself that I think the best leader for the left would be Chris Williamson, from what I've seen. And like I say, I vote on a single issue, and Chris is the total opposite for that, so I could never vote for him or anything. But just in general, I'd say Chris Williamson. For some reason, I think, because I think the left also, they're more about personality fanatics. You know, you can say the same for the right as well, like Boris Johnson, who done the Boris waves. He took us out of Brexit and then done the Boris waves. And as Tony Blair pointed out, before Brexit, most people came from the EU, and a lot of them would return. I'm not sure that's true, actually, that second bit, but the first bit, most of them were from the EU. Whereas when Boris took us out, only about 10% were from the EU, and it was the biggest waves ever. I think in 2023 there was 1.3 million who came. They're just waiting to become British citizens now. Just LabCon will just rubber stamp that, you know. Katie Lamb saying you shouldn't give them right to leave because they've got it after 5 years, whereas in Dubai I think it's after 25 years. I think China, I think the number of people who became Chinese citizens from overseas over the last years is something like 1 or 2,000 or something like that, you know. And apparently it's predicted that their population will drop by about half over the next 40 years, you know. They only got rid of the child policy about 2013, I think. But now they're the second wealthiest country, it seems like the women don't want to have babies anymore. And so not only are they not having one baby, it seems like they're not having any babies at all, you know. But yeah, it's to drop. But China, they aren't looking at it and saying, we need to bring in, we need to open up because people from many continents will want to come to China. Although, in a way, it doesn't seem like that, really, does it? I don't know. But if not, why not? Um, yeah, so back on to this. Yeah, I think the left are more fractured, right? And I would say the left would go for Chris Williams, but I think the far left is more personality driven than the left, because I think Jeremy Corbyn's useless, really. He's totally uninspiring. I think this is the third time Zara's upset him. First, when she said the Your Party are live, she was probably fed up, waiting, you know. Second time was she said she was an anti on what's happening in Palestine, which I've got total sympathy for. I think maybe a lot of people feel that way for the wrong reason, maybe to do with ego rather than to do with the Palestinians. Feel sorry for the Palestinians. My own opinion is just my sense of British fairness, what's happening. You know, that's how I'm looking at it. Yeah, I don't know how anyone can support the other side because of what they've done over the 75 years, but especially over the last 2 years. I don't know how anyone can support them, you know. On the right, I think we're supposed to support them. Um, yeah, but anyway, Zara says that, and then this is the third time she actually said you can now join membership. It's £55 a year or something like that. £5 a month. Apparently 20,000 of the far left people did join. You know, and it's ridiculous. I mean, personally, I think she should go her own way. I don't know if she's enough of her personality, though. She should be, I think. I mean, like I say, I've not got any confidence in her. I think it's just going to flop either way. And I feel sorry for the far left people that have not got any party. Why don't they start their own, basically? I mean, why don't you just start afresh? You've got 800,000 people that signed up for the email newsletter from, again, that was Zara that announced that. Jeremy wasn't ready. And, I mean, Jeremy and all them, they all seem to want to think they're going to get back in the Labour Party. At the moment, John McDonnell's banned. So was Zara as well. John McDonnell's waiting to get back in. He probably won't get back in. Not if Keir's still in charge for the next election. Keir's tried to get rid of Diane Abbott last time. There was a big complaint and he changed his mind, so he bottled it. And then he done another two that didn't really have any personality support. He done another two during the election, when the election was announced. So he does it really sneaky. Tony Blair says you need to be ruthless when you're thinking, but I'm guessing he was shocked as well at Keir, Uh, yeah, so it's all a good laugh anyway. I don't know what's going to happen here. And I was just watching Nevada media there, and they were suggesting, well, Ali Batastani was suggesting that Jeremy Corbyn and the other five want to make it a sort of top-down thing where they're in charge, like Nigel Farage is of reform. Whereas Zara wants to make it totally grassroots, democratic. Although a lot of people start that way, even dictators on the left, Russia, for instance, they start that way and then quickly somebody takes full control. So, yeah, he's thinking that Jeremy and that want to be a sort of top-down thing, and on the other side, Zara wants to be a grassroots, well, to start with anyway. And so this is why she sees how it's going and she's calling him out. But anyway, today she said she was on Canary on YouTube, and the Canary, and she was saying that they argue all the time, but it doesn't sound like they're very pally, because apparently they had a 10-minute Zoom recently, and after that, I think that's when Zara went live with it, saying the member thing. But to involve money and all that, But why don't the far left, why don't they all just say, well, let's all just use this, stay members of this and start our own new party? That's what you should do. I don't know how you're relying on Jeremy, really. I mean, yeah, Jeremy said he didn't agree with Zara saying that thing about Palestine, the way she said it. And now she's done this third thing. So, yeah, whether they'll stay together or not, I don't know. He'll probably try, actually, I think. Although I think she'll exasperate him, basically. But it's all a good laugh, really. As I say, I think the problem is the electoral system, because we're having to vote for parties and party hampers rather than on issues. Because like on the right, we're supposed to be against green energy. Well, they call it net zero, but green energy, really. If you took me, Dale Vins, Elon Musk, Nigel Farage and Ben Habib, if you took us on, say, immigration, say, me, Ben and Reform would be on the same side, and so would Elon, actually. I would probably be the hardest on that, or I would say the most sensible on that, and Dale Vins would be the opposite, total opposite. Whereas when you're talking about green energy, me, Dale and Elon would all be on the same side, roughly. And on the other side would be Nigel Farage and Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe. So Elon would be switching over to the other side, same as me. And I'm just showing you how this is so ridiculous, how all these things are bundled in. I think we should only be voting on one single issue. Ben Habib's recently said it's existential and this might be the last chance to elect peacefully. Professor David Bates says he thinks we're heading for civil war, and he thinks within 5 years, and that was about 6 months ago he said that. So because Professor David Bates, he's not really political, really. He wrote a paper about this. He's a military expert, and he wrote a paper about this about 4 years ago, and that was it. It was forgotten about. But somebody who involved with it was a lady involved who's sometimes appears on, is it a New Culture Forum or the other one of them? She read it, and so she interviewed him, and then it became something that people of the quote right thing made. I mean, Ben Habib says there's no left and right now. It's you're either globalist or nationalist, really, roughly. But anyway, if you think left and right, so the right, the New Culture Forum, what else you got? That sort of thing, which I think are totally sensible on the single issue that matters, on that issue. And that's how, so he's sort of become a cause célèbre on that side, but that's not the way he wasn't interested in politics. He just done a paper on military expertise and his judgment on how Britain's going to go. So far he's not been arrested, which surprised me. Not that I think he should be arrested, it's just that I'm surprised that Keir and that haven't arrested him. Because we're not sort of allowed to predict that way. Allowed to predict it's going to be a utopia. But yeah, so I'm just having a laugh at your party and that. Like I say, Personally, I don't think there's any chance for the left. Not with many Brits. Because one of Labour's main wards in Cardiff, council wards in Cardiff, yes, they went to reform, and that's one of the Labour inner city areas that's still got enough reform voters that could vote for them, because there wasn't enough in Newham to vote reform. Reform done well in Newham, only get about 13% or something or other. I think that's maximum they could probably get there. The new party got about 41%, 44%, the Newham Independents, who are all getting it. That was founded in 2024. Used to be a very strong Labour area until then. Yeah, so, yeah, just having a laugh at the far left. I don't know what's going to happen next. Yeah, the thing about Jeremy as well, he said in an interview, I think with Owen Jones, who said he didn't start the party early because he would have had to have travelled up and down the country. So he didn't want to travel up and down the country after he'd just been deselected. Keir had banned him from Labour, say 6 months after the election in 2019. He didn't want to travel down the country then when he was about 72, but now he wants to travel up and down the country when he's 75, 76, so, and there's no sign of him retiring. So that was his reason for not starting a party, and I feel really sorry for the far left, because they've all been waiting for him to start a party after 2019, and there's been no sign of it. It looks as if he was waiting to see if he could be the Labour candidate for 2024, and John McDonnell and that are the same, they're waiting. Diane Abbott, she banned just now, I think she is. They all seem to be waiting. I mean, they are comical. It's sad, actually. They could be in this new party and be big names, because the far left are personality driven from what I've seen, more than the far right. I don't know, possibly not. Nigel's a big, but I don't know, because I think Ben Habib, he talks sense to me all the time. That's why I'm very appreciative of Britain. He understands what makes Britain great. So Ben Habib's who I would support, Advanced Party. But like I say, I don't support things, but I think everyone should vote, and you should vote on one issue. And that might even be wasting your vote, but if there's somebody on the right who the left are saying you can vote Tory but you can't go any further than that, then whoever's further than that, go for them, because that's what Labour are saying and the Greens and SNP. On this issue, personally I think women's rights is a good thing, judging women's rights over the countries around the world, but that's not the way the left see it here. They see is that everyone's going to either have their views on women's rights or be further to the left on them, women's rights. By the looks of it, I think that's their logic. Although the guy from Blackburn, the MP, just said recently, you've got to understand that we feel socially conservative on this issue, which shocked a lot of the Green voters and far left Labour voters, apparently. Not enough yet, but yeah, I can see them splitting, the left and things splitting from them, because well, anyway, that's all I've got to say in that at the moment. Okay, we can just have a laugh at it. Bye for now.